Maybe it's funny. Sometimes I wish I was reading all the nonfiction. There's so much good non. Yeah. No, but don't worry. I'm committed to the fiction. I can already tell this is going to be an awesome project. Okay, continuing on with the lit crit and film crit and art crit. Why am I doing this project? Because it's interesting. It's a survey of a book collection. And I'm discovering that a lot of people put videos up of bookshelves on YouTube, and I found a number of good channels, and I like hearing people talk about books. It's great. There are nerds out there, you know, maybe. Anyway, I am one such nerd. Sometimes my Gen Z kids will be like, this is very me core, you know? Or people will refer to like, that's so Sonora core, or that's so Anodyne core, or that's so Willow core. Those are my kids' names. My daughter's, I think I've heard Hagen core too, my son. Anyway, this is so Mike core right here, this kind of stuff. Something about the American scene from 1820 to 1900 with a cool like pop art screen print style kind of. Yeah. See, this is the kind of research that you can't read about necessarily. You got to like spend time with it and experience it. You want to get the vibe of another time when you're writing another time. You need to have things like this. You want to get a sense of another time when you're writing about places, you know, expand your scope. It's good to own stuff like this. I never regret stuff like this. I read some biography of him. I'm not sure if it was this one. Interesting fella. David Hockney. I really like his art style. And I like that Dan Byrne song lyric. David Hockney's still alive. I don't have to paint. Ooh. Yeah, you gotta have like art books. You gotta learn about art. Like, this is such a specific topic. Paintings in Spain, 1561 to 1828. I know it would be super interesting. That's why I have it. And it's illustrated. In the 90s, I was obsessed with the 60s. That's kind of weird. I was like, the 60s, man. Wish we'd been around in the 60s. Why? No, that probably would have been cool. This is also very me, getting biographies of writers I've never read. I mean, he sounds super interesting. Judging on the back. Novels of great cumulative force and lyrical intensity. Another book about talking heads. The Adventures of Talking Heads in the 20th Century. I'm trying to remember. I read all these Talking Heads books. I can't remember this one in particular. They're a great band. I keep this book for a single quote in here. High Weirdness by Mail, a directory of the fringe, mad prophets, crackpots, kooks, and true visionaries. I read like every weird anthology that there was. I used to be part of this website, Paperback Swap, that probably still exists, where you could trade books by mail. And I got like everything around certain subjects sometimes. And this, I'm sure all the info is outdated in it, but look, it's by the guy from the Church of the Subgenius, that weird gonzo satirical religious group. And his introduction, a quote from it, is why I keep this book. He talks about, or no, not his introduction, his profile of these skeptical magazines. He's all, skepticism is a great place to start from for when the really weird stuff starts happening. So you'll be ready when the really weird stuff starts happening. Modern Times, Modern Places. Yeah, like, I was like, Modern Times? I love that movie. Check it out. But no, this is like a cool survey. I'm definitely going to read this. I started it once. I've DNF'd so many books. That's crazy. My DNF list would scandalize people. I lose books. I'm careless with books. Just stop reading them. Jump to another one that book reminded me of. But I finish most books. But I don't know. I guess it's... Here's another book from my Waking Up Hating Leaf Blowers chapter of life. Element and Sound of Everything We Want, a book about noise. Yeah, I read all these books about noise and silence. It's a really interesting topic, very rich. I think James Agee had similar themes. And I obviously like James Agee. Oh man. It's the kind of book you're like not supposed to read cover to cover, but I went like, oh my gosh. I would double my artistic value to myself by reading this book, probably. It would teach me so much. Theories and Documents of Contemporary Art, a source book of artists' writings. Oh yeah, I can already tell I freaking love this. Where do these things come from? Where did I get this? Oh, I bought this at Downtown Books. You know, I keep this book because I read it once and I'll probably read it again. Mozart's last year. But this was my mom's book forever ago. She died in... When did she die? My daughter was 1 year old, 8 months old. Died in 2006. It's cool. I always like seeing stuff kick around. Once in a while, her handwriting or an old card or something's in one of the books. That's great. The Old Weird America by Grail Marcus. Oh, The World of Bob Dylan's Basement Tapes. I read this. So I held on to some of my Dylan books. Why did I think I got rid of them? I think I did, though. Oh, this is such an interesting work of music writing. Psychotic Reactions and Carburetor, done by Lester Bangs. He's like such a counterculture, interesting figure. He's fictionalized in the movie Almost Famous. Edited by Grail Marcus, famous music writer. There's some really good writing in here. A lot of it's very vital. Some of it's beat influenced. Some of it's permissibly indulgent. But he turned me on to a lot of good music, like the Trogs, which was like the ultimate punk band at the time before punk. He was writing this. So I want something different, something more. Or he saw Jethro Tull with flute music as part of it. He's like, it was good. I don't know if it was rock and roll, but it was good. Anyway, I enjoy some of his writing. It's full of vitality. I feel like it's beat adjacent. He's kind of like a later beat in a way in that tradition. I feel it. This book has one of my favorite pieces of music writing in it ever. And it's Paul Williams. All these chapters were, I think a lot of them were in Crawdaddy, or he founded Crawdaddy, a music magazine that partly morphed into Rolling Stone. But there's a chapter in here on, this chapter is incredible, on Runaway from Del Shannon. It's like one of the best pieces of music writing I've ever read. And I'll tell you why, because it gets to this, and I mean, it's just 2 pages. So if you're handy with the pause button. But it tells the story of, the singer being like to the organist, look, I'm going to point to you, and when I point to you, just do something amazing. And then that's what happens. And then the organist does this like amazing organ fill that's like famous and awesome, and everyone loves it. If you've ever heard the song Runaway from Del Shannon, you know it. Yeah, he like wrote it on stage. Trigger warning, someone's either setting off fireworks or firing guns in my neighborhood. Personally, I have PTSD from gun violence, from a lovely incident and its subsequent incidents dating back to 2022. Anyway, so I don't love it. Hearing it, whatever it is, but I don't feel like I used to when those old wounds were fresh, Anyway, just warning for anyone listening, if you've got a similar deal, because it could happen. Idea for a book. I mean, I love the idea of... Anyway, so he kind of has this conclusion at the end of that piece where he says, don't we hope that someday someone will point to us and say, do something amazing, and we will. It's it's great. I love when a piece of criticism is kind of elevated and you get something out of it, something philosophical or deep. And this book is like that, and it's also got wonderful recommends, like "Oh How Happy" from the Shades of Blue, I think. Oh man, that song is so great. In fact, I need to listen to that for my mental health. Yeah, it's just a really good song. It'll cheer anybody up. Bookstores, if you do this, you're evil. Here's a great artifact. Love this thing. Peter Guralnick's 2-volume Elvis biography. Peter Guralnick's brother, Tom, lives here in Albuquerque and manages a jazz venue called The Outpost. And I almost got a job there one time, but then somebody who had been volunteering there for a while got the job instead of me, and that's reasonable. How mad can I be about that? But I would have loved that job, and Tom Guralnick seemed like a super cool guy. I actually meant to keep in touch and go to some shows there, but Anyway, this is 2 books, The Rise and Fall of Elvis. And it comes in this beautiful slipcover box. And it makes a cool image on the spine. This book is like, this whole thing is so well put together. And both books are great. The second book is especially well written. You can see Guralnick just become an amazing writer from this project. And he's already a very good writer at the beginning. But I thought the second was like so well written, and I thought the first was too. But it's just, again, it's like when you see animated movies and the animation just gets better with each one, with each one in a series. You learn the tricks, you learn how it works. But the first is the rise, second is the fall, and it's a truly tragic fall. And like I said, I'm not anti the idea of celebrity because I think we can't talk about every human alive. There's too many, and Elvis is a really fascinating figure, and he was at the center of a lot. And I think he has a lot of great music. I think he's kind of a tragedy in how he was mismanaged and exploited by his manager. He was kind of simple in some ways and allowed that to happen. I guess I should go to war. Why? You're a freaking recording artist. Why are you going to Germany to get addicted to pills? Like, you're not helping anybody. That's stupid. Or the way the Colonel just had him churning out these treacly soundtracks and just doing nothing, making these lame movies. And when the Beatles met with him, they were like, why don't you do some more rock and roll music? And I don't even think Elvis knew how to answer. I think he was uncomfortable. I've heard biographies of both parties involved discuss that. Anyway, great book. Last Train to Memphis. That's the fall. Careless Love. That's the rise. Just so well put together. But Careless Love has the chapter where they discover the rock sound, or their version of the rock sound, in Sun Studios, and it's so great. It's such a transcendent, exciting piece of music writing. Like, whoa! I don't think y'all know what you tripped into here. Forbidden knowledge from Prometheus to pornography. Yeah, I mean, this book's probably totally interesting. This was a gift. I can't remember from who. I think I remember. It's a good idea for a book. The Essential Interviews. Oh, this was a book I really sought out after I heard of it. It's really cool. The Moon and the Western Imagination. Love the moon. I mean, if you don't like the moon, I don't know what to tell you. You should regularly be out beneath the moon, It's the moon. It's freaking amazing. How the Moon Began. Ideas of Lunar Reality in Antiquity. Epic journeys and flights of fancy. Images of the moon in Plutarch and Lucian. The moon and the origins of classical geography. Oh, cool. Galileo. Maps without names. And I a moon of higher origins. This is a great book. I really appreciate this book. This book, I've just been working my way through it, and I own a lot of these movies now, and I've seen a lot of these movies now. And not all 100. I've read 57 of these. Not read, seen. Does that say, do I regard movies and books the same interchangeably, subconsciously? They are both written, but they're absorbed so differently. Still, I don't know, you can't deny the appeal of movies. They do some things that books don't. Books do things that movies don't. They're much better for interiority. And then I had these found magazines up here again, which I had previously on another shelf. I'm trying to get all the sections more contained. That's why those got moved. But found is really... I was late to school because I woke up late. Please let me. Ray is out of town, so anyone can sit on the couch until Friday. What do you think Jesus looks like? Draw his picture. Come party. My new symbol. Remember when this came out, I went to a lot of events for this magazine. Presented some of my found stuff, like all the letters that a traveling salesman received in the 1970s that I bought at an auction. Still have those. There you have it, folks. You're all a bunch of freaks watching a video about my bookshelf. What's wrong with you? No, I'm just kidding. But no, we like what we like. I hope you're watching because you're like me. You like books. You like hearing stuff about books. I would seriously watch a video from any one of y'all if you have your own book collections and are knowledgeable about them. Like, just tell me about it. I'll go watch it. I try to subscribe back to everybody. Sometimes YouTube doesn't make that like really apparent, like what you do. You know, like you gotta kind of look around to do basic stuff. Like I just want to see who's subscribed to me. Anyway, so yeah, I like the art crit section. It's kind of varied out here, but there's good stuff in here. And I could go off about Einstein. I'm not indifferent about Einstein. He's great. I do have a lot of more Bob Dylan books than I thought. That's kind of funny. He's an interesting figure. You know, he won the Nobel Prize for Literature. That's crazy. Like, you know, he probably deserves it. But at the same time, I remember when that happened, I was like, wow, that really kind of changes the Nobel Prize for Literature. Art crit. Got videos for all these already. Because I'm insane. My daughter Sonora is basically Sid from Toy Story. She made this hybrid lobster penguin called Spider Penguin. Anyway, thanks for watching. Y'all are cool, I can tell.